All right, Jason Milosevski, thank you so much for joining me today. The purpose of this is really, I just want to ask you about your journey, diagnosis of cancer, and just kind of the overall complexity with it. So we'll start with the diagnosis. What were you diagnosed with, and how did you find out?
Well, firstly, thanks for having me on, Phil. It's great to be here. Great to see you as always. And I appreciate the opportunity in being able to tell my story and start to raise awareness. So thank you. So what I was diagnosed with was pancreatic cancer, which is a very unexpected. Any diagnosis of cancer is a shock, but pancreatic cancer is an unusual one, especially for someone my age. I'm 42, quite young. It tends to be a disease that's diagnosed in older people, 60 plus, I think. So pancreatic cancer with metastasis or spread to the liver. That was the diagnosis. How did I find out? We'll get to that as we progress in the podcast, but basically mid-December, I started to experience some pain in my upper right abdomen, which was weird. It was like a sharp stabbing pain, it was a boring pain, like a stitch, a bad stitch. And I thought, this is weird. So I'm pretty in tune with my body, and I thought, this is weird, but that lasted a couple of hours, then went away. That was mid-December, around the 14th of December. I was actually at Melbourne Airport, getting ready for a flight to head up to Sydney for the PPS Mutual Christmas party. And that was the first time it hit me when I was waiting. That sort of went away, then got back to Melbourne and I like to go on my walks most mornings, was on one of my usual walks, and it hit me again. And I couldn't even complete my walk. It was the same pain, upper right abdomen area. I thought, this is weird. I ended up just before Christmas going to see a doctor at our local practice. We have our own family doctor, but our family doctor wasn't available this day, so I booked to see a doctor at our local medical practice, bulk bill doctor, laid my symptoms, and he kind of said, you probably just strained the muscle. Here's some Panadine Forte on your way. And then the pain, I got through Christmas with family, friends, I was pretty okay. But then first week of New Year, pain started to appear on my left side of the body, basically where the spleen is. Thankfully, I don't ignore things. I don't sit on things. First week of New Year, 3rd of Jan, went and got an appointment with our private doctor. Thankfully, she was back from leave, and she arranged a CT scan of the abdomen area on the 6th of January, the Friday. So by this point, I'd had the CT scan. She had the results. The 6th of Jan, never forget it, the practice that my doctor works at called. And Phil, doctors don't usually, or the receptionist doesn't usually call you to come in unless it's bad news. So I had a really bad feeling from that moment on. They said, we'd like you to come in. Doctor wants to discuss the results. Yeah, went in and she told me that, I'm really sorry it is to say, but they found a tumour in the tail of your pancreas. And they've also found some lesions in your liver. And as you can imagine, my whole world came tumbling down at that moment. It's been an interesting journey since then, but my world and life completely changed at that moment.
And I remember you calling me, and we worked closely together, and I knew you were starting work on the following Monday, and you called me on the Friday. I'm like, as I so often do, I yelled at you for calling me when I'm like, Jase, what are you doing? You shouldn't be working yet. I know you start on Monday. And I still remember you just being like, yep. It's actually not a work call. It's actually a personal call, and I found out I got cancer. That was I still remember. I was in my garage. I think I was trying to fix my tire to my bike, and I just basically was like, oh my goodness, So obviously there was a massive shock. How did Vest take it?
She, like everyone, she was in complete shock. It took her a while to comprehend what I told her, and the same for my family. Mum, dad, my sister, and those closest, or those nearest and dearest to me. The reaction for most was, "What? Say it again? Are you serious?" It was just complete shock, because everyone knows me to be that healthy, energetic guy that's fit, that's active, that goes to the gym.
I sit there watching your videos on Instagram, you boxing or going in the gym going, man, I'm glad I don't go to the gym because I can't be bothered. I mean, Jason's here not only doing it, but also filming himself and putting it all over the place. So you're definitely one of the most active people I know. And so, yeah, it was definitely a shock. So kind of leading up to that diagnosis, I know you had a journey, and leading up for the last 12 months. So help me understand that a bit more.
So, interesting journey, PT. Started about February last year. I had some weird things happening to my body. I started to put these weird things down to maybe I'm just getting old. Maybe I'm just getting on a bit. February last year, I had a couple of lumps pop up on my neck. And I remember, you've actually been a part of this journey too, because I remember coming to your house not long after. We were sitting in your backyard and I was talking to you about it. So I had a couple of lumps that popped up on my neck out of nowhere. Did biopsies, did tests, everything was clear. Just weird though, how they came about. And the doctors just put it down to the swollen lymph nodes. And I thought, okay. And then I had COVID in February. I got hit with COVID. They found that my iron levels were low. I'd done some blood tests around the time that they found the lumps on my neck. And then my shoulders were swelling up. In April, they found bursitis in both my shoulders. So I'm like, what is going on? Is this a midlife health crisis or what? I just got hit with all this weird stuff and weird symptoms, Thankfully, I am in tune with my body. I didn't used to do regular or as health checks as regularly as I should have. In recent years, I've started to. And last year, with all this weird stuff happening to my body, I just wasn't feeling right. There were periods where I feel really fatigued. And, it's saying we know our bodies. I know my body. It's true. And I know my body. I know what I'm capable of. I know my energy levels, I know my strength, and it wasn't quite there. I kept going, I kept pushing, being the active guy that I am, that I wasn't quite the same. I wasn't the old Jason.
Yeah, and touching on that, it's actually really interesting because, obviously you had COVID at that time. And so, the lack of kind of understanding about COVID and the impacts of COVID. So I remember you always saying, I think I've got like a long COVID, or, that's why I'm fatiguing because of COVID, which, I had COVID, and, the impacts for me is we've got a swimming pool. So when I went swimming, I came out from underneath the water, like gasping for air. And it was really interesting. I've never had that before. So, I think in your situation, it's always really interesting because of that COVID dynamic of going, well, is it COVID? We've never dealt with this. We don't know what it is. So I remember you saying that was what you thought a lot of that fatigue was because of.
Yeah, you're spot on, buddy. I did, and even the docs kept saying to me, it's just lingering. The fatigue's just from COVID, long COVID, or whatever. And I just had this feeling that something else was going on. Honestly, I didn't know what, but I just knew something was up. Anyway, I did 7 lots of full blood tests last year, and you know my story. You know that the most recent blood test I did, which was August of last year, they checked everything. Liver markers, my white cells, my red cells, everything was normal. Everything was in the ranges. I remember the doctor at August said, you're completely healthy, Jason. Basically, not in so many words, stop bothering us. Stop having so many tests. That was August. I left it at that. And then November, I went back. This is before we best found our new private doctor. I went back to that same clinic, did another lot of full blood tests in November. Interestingly enough, in November, my platelets had dropped to below the normal level. So we all have platelets, of course. Platelets can drop, for the listeners, platelets can drop for a range of reasons. It could be that your body's fighting an infection. It could be that you've got a virus, but it means something's going on. So my platelets dropped for the first time, and I thought, okay, something's up.
It was interesting because we were doing an insurance application at the time for your insurance, and in my head, not in my head, I verbalized this like, bloody heck, why is Jay such a hypochondriac going and getting a million blood tests? And he's got low platelets, like, it's probably just had a virus before it, like, but thinking, oh, come on, like, you're just making our jobs harder getting this insurance in place. Obviously, good that you just had, 7 lots of blood tests leading up to, the diagnosis.
And I know, I definitely, you guys as my advisors, I definitely made your jobs a lot more challenging, because I know you guys were doing a review of my personal insurance at that point. But yes, as you just said, thank God I did continue to persist and have the test, because when I did finally get to the Austin hospital where I'm getting treatment and got my official diagnosis, they had all my records of all the tests I'd done. And one of the doctors actually said to me, Phil, he said, I don't think I know anyone your age that has had this many tests in a relatively short period of time. I just persevered. I kept persevering, kept persisting. So my message is, when you feel that something isn't right, if need be, get the second opinion, get the third opinion, get a third opinion, but don't
just ignore it. Like,
please,
I think,
for God's sake, don't sit on it, please.
yeah, that was my takeaway for me personally. It's just like, when I found out, I was like, all right, this medical issue I had that I thought was kind of nothing, which ended up being nothing. I was like, ignored it because it got too hard. I got to go and see a specialist and get a referral for it. Oh, what a pain in the neck. Got a specialist referral, ignored it for 13 months, called up and they said, oh, the referral's expired. And so I'm like, oh, stuff it, who cares? And then after hearing your story, I'm like, no, I'll book in the phone call, I'll book in the doctor's appointment, get another referral, and I'll actually do it this time. Ended up being nothing, but it's super important people pride themselves, like we do insurance, so we help people with insurance. People pride themselves with, I haven't been to the doctor in 7 years, like it's some kind of badge of honor. Like,
yeah.
No, you idiot. Go to the doctor. Like, just because you think you're healthy, just double check. Just check in all the time.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, if had I ignored these pains and thought, like many other blokes in this country that might say, oh, she'll be right, and just push on and leave it, may well have been in a lot more trouble than I already am. So, yeah.
Yeah. And so, in December you find out you've got pancreatic cancer. What's the journey been? We're talking March the 3rd.
Yeah.
What's it been like between when you found out and now?
And then, so the actual date I did find out, by the way, was the 6th of Jan. That's when the doctor said...
Oh, yeah, that was the official diagnosis. Yeah.
Official, that's when I knew it. What's the journey like been since? Wow. Roller coaster, buddy. Absolute roller coaster. I have had, days and moments where I wear my heart on my sleeve. So sorry. I said I wasn't emotional on this podcast, but it's about being real. It's been tough some days. It's scary. It's frightening. But I always try and look at the positives. And the biggest fear and the biggest thing I can remember is, I remember Vest taking me into the Austin hospital on the 8th of Jan. You came and saw me, and you remember that the 9th, your first official day back at work for a year, you came and saw me. And the reason she took me in was the pain at that point had got really bad. So she took me into emergency, and was the best thing we did, because that got things moving. They got the ball rolling. They did scans. The treatment. I'm 3 rounds of chemo in. It's been tough on me, of course, but my family. All these things go through your head, Phil, when you get a diagnosis of cancer. You think of your kids, you think of your wife, you think of your family, your friends, and also I've used that fear to help me, because life does throw us challenges, and I just keep trying to always remind myself to look at the positive. The positives are, based on the scans that the Austin did on me in January, those scans suggested that it hasn't gone anywhere else. Chest x-ray was clear, the lungs were clear. It appears to just be in the tail of the pancreas and the liver. I'll have follow-up scans again in a couple of weeks to see where everything's at, but there's positives there that I got it as early as I could.
You've had 3 rounds of chemo. You kind of, quickly skipped over that. You've got 6 rounds of chemo that all lined up 2 weeks apart, and you're 3 in, and you've got another 3 to go. How is that kind of process been in terms of actually going and getting the treatment?
Yeah, round 1 was the toughest. Walking into the Olivia Newton-John Centre and seeing so many others, it's so sad. Young and old, people our age, people younger than me, people older. It's daunting, but I really need to elevate my mind to a different level and stay as strong and as positive as I can, because what I've learned with my cancer journey, Phil, is it is as much a mental game as it is a physical game. But the chemo, round 1, boy, did I cop a shock to my system. I'm on a very aggressive form of chemo. It's called FOLFIRINOX. It's the most commonly used chemo for pancreatic cancer. And, my age, my level of fitness, they were pretty confident I could handle it. And I'm doing okay, but round 1 was a shocker. I have 3 drugs that they administer with this chemo. 2 are administered to me over 5 hours at the Austin. And then the 3rd one, they connect to my chest port. I've got a port inserted in my chest.
Like Iron Man.
Yeah, like Iron Man. I'm not going to show it because I don't want to scare anyone. But it is kind of like Iron Man. It just needs a little bit of a light, and it'll blow it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Then that third drug is connected to my port, which then goes through my body over 48 hours, and then the nurse comes home, disconnects it. Round 1, mate, I was down for the count for a week. Couldn't eat. All the side effects you can think of: the vomiting, the nausea, the fatigue. It was terrible. And then round 2 and 3 have been better. They have modified the dosage a little, but not by much. It's still pretty full on. But I'm eating. I'm doing, I'm eating as much as I can. I've changed my diet, as you know, completely. I'm trying to keep up my strength. What I'm noticing, as I said to you earlier, is just with this round, the fatigue. On and off, some days I just get that overwhelmed by fatigue. I just need to take a nap. The chemo is different for everyone. And whilst I'm doing pretty well, it's accumulative in the body. So with each round, it's bound to get a bit tougher. But the main thing for me is the tiredness and the fatigue.
Yeah, one thing that because we speak on a regular basis, and definitely we talked, I think, the day after round 1, and you were definitely the most flat I've ever heard you in your life. And it was definitely like a big shock to me to go, oh, wow, like he's struggling. And you weren't flat mentally, like you didn't come across as like, dejected. It was just like I'm ready to sleep at all times. Like,
it's true.
Definitely
it's true.
Very low on energy that after the first, and then called you after the second, and you definitely seem so much better. And I mean, you're looking amazing.
Thank you.
You're halfway through and you're looking sharp.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. It's all the moisturizer and magical cream I use on the skin over the years, buddy. That's all it is.
That's it. Yeah. You're used to looking after your appearance. It's not hard to maintain. You've got the energy to keep doing that.
I do. So thank you. I thank you for saying that. I'll tell you one thing I am surprised about. I'll take my hat off, actually. So I do shave my head, as you know, but hair's still growing back 3 rounds in, and the beard. If you remember, I did a video on LinkedIn before round 1 where I'd shaved my beard in preparation that it was going to fall off. And 3 rounds in, it's growing back. I don't know, maybe I'm lucky, or maybe it's yet to fall out. Maybe it'll fall out with rounds 4, 5, and 6, who knows, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as I said the first time, you were fortunate you barely had hair on your head in the first place. So if it does fall out, it's not that bad.
See, I've been preparing for this battle for many years, Phil.
That's it, and I've been here encouraging you all the way.
Yes, it did. And me shaving the head back in 2019 was long overdue, obviously. I'm sure you all agree. So.
Yeah. And one thing that I know you've talked about a lot with me, and we've talked about it, like you have been focusing a lot on your mentality and staying positive and just thinking and being really conscious about that and trying not to not feel down. Obviously it's a roller coaster. Just you're going to have those down moments, but talk to me about like how important that's been for you. The mental side of it, the things I'm doing to help me, and there's no playbook for this. There's no textbook on there's stuff out there to help you, of course, but there's no playbook on, all right, how do I get myself in the best possible place and deal with cancer diagnosis? The things that I've been doing to help me, look, the support of my family, my wife, my kids, my close friends. I'm very fortunate. I've got an amazing support network. So that is huge for anybody going through cancer and battling it. Having a support network, I'm sure they will agree, is so important. The things I've been doing, so I've been keeping a journal, and I'm keeping a journal on everything. The diagnosis, everything, and this journal has been so helpful because I'm able to put pen to paper and express how I'm feeling. I'm not bottling it up. I'm writing. Everything I'm feeling, I'm writing down on paper. That's been hugely helpful. And again, just continuing to remind myself of the positives. I've been thrown a challenge in life for a reason. And I genuinely believe that the reason that I've been throwing this is because there's a different purpose for me. And that purpose is to do partly what I'm doing today with you, is to start getting my story out there, start raising awareness in the hope of helping others and inspiring others that may be going through their own battles as well. So things like that, and
you look at the world in a really different lens, Phil, when something like this happens, and I do look at everything very differently now. I'm still the same guy, but I'm now, don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's what I was thinking just then. Like, yeah, it's definitely, that's the attitude is like, there's so little in this world that we actually need to worry about. In our situation, we're in Australia, we're incredibly wealthy, incredibly lucky. We don't need to worry so much about where our food's coming from or, a roof over our head. So we're already like well ahead of everyone else in the whole entire world. But like, realizing that, you actually just need to chill out.
You just 100%, and easier said than done because I'm biggest culprit of it. I'd go at an unbelievable pace because that's me. That's how I'm wired. This has really made me slow down. Okay, whoa, chill, focus on you, focus on your health. Things like now I meditate most days in the backyard. I would never meditate, and listening to a lot more motivational self-help type podcasts and things like that, listening to other people's stories on their challenges. There's stuff that I wouldn't stop to do before. Being thankful for the amazing things in my life that I'm blessed with. My family, my kids, my friends.
Yeah, talk to me about that with the boys. So, like, how has that been? How have they gone? Like, because for me, that's the thing I think about the most is, if this happened to me, Kate, my wife would, I would imagine would react very similar to Vess. Be very like, all right, I've got this. I'm gonna, support you all the way. And Vess, I know, has been amazing. But for me, all I think about if this ever happened to me is, how would it impact the girls and how would they go? And like, help me understand how are the boys going?
That's probably been the hardest part, Phil. And you are a devoted, loving father like me. My kids are everything, and that's been the hardest part. What's helped is I'm really positive around them. Really strong and really positive around them. But so just to put it out there, Vess and I made a decision not to tell them everything about the diagnosis because I just wasn't ready. I just couldn't do it. Especially my eldest boy, Christian, him especially, he's got his own challenges, and I didn't want to put that extra stress on them at this point. So we've told them that Dad's got a really bad back and he's got some pains and he's on some really strong medicine. And that's kind of where we left it. They know, they're not silly. They know something's up. They know Dad's not 100%. When I've had chemo and when I'm fatigued, when I'm on the couch, when I can't move and do the stuff I used to do with them, it's hard. They'll come, you know what kids are like, Phil. My youngest will come and just randomly give me a massive hug and like everything. It's like, and they do it at the time when you need it the most. You don't even have to say anything, and Christian as well, he'll just come up and chat randomly. Hey, Dad, hey, let me show you something cool that I'm doing. He's got his own YouTube channel. Let me show you something cool that I've done with YouTube, and do you want to see my new video? They feel and they sense, and when they do that, it gives me that lift. They are a big source of my strength. It's been tough because I try and be positive around them. Vess, she's like superwoman. She's amazing. She's obviously been there for me every step of the way, but just as a mother with the kids, she's super strong. And she's amazing like that. So, and then when it comes time to break down, we'll do it. I'll do it away from them because I don't want to bring that on them. Eventually we're going to have to tell them. But at this point, the way things are going, touch wood, we'll just keep it going as is.
This is not a marriage, discussion, but one thing, I've never gone through anything anywhere near, comparable to your situation. But for me and Kate, one thing that's always helped us in our marriage is when we go through hard times, it's like, oh, that's right. All these little frustrations we have with each other where we're getting annoyed. Oh, they're doing this against me, or they're doing this because they know it's going to annoy me, or whatever. In your own head, you think about this. But when tough times come, and for me and Kate, when tough times came, it's been like, oh, we're on the same team. Like, we are 100% on the same team, and we're here to battle anything that comes our way. And that's like, looking on for you and Vess, it's been really good to kind of see that's, your mentality or Vess's mentality going like, nah, I got this. I'm like, and obviously no doubt in my mind, Vess would have a lot of struggles and going through her own thing, but
yes.
Being able to just go, all right, for a time, today or this week, I'll carry you, Jase. And, in the past, it's been the opposite. Is really, it's kind of amazing to see that kind of, connectedness that you guys have.
Yeah, you're right. I think you summed it up perfectly. We were on the same team, and in that sense, it's been hugely positive. Don't get me wrong. Again, just keeping it real for the listeners and the viewers. PT, we have our moments. I have my days where and this is part of the journey. I get angry. I get frustrated. Why me? Why am I going through this? And then I'll, without meaning to, take it out on Bess, and that's something that I'm become more aware of and learning to deal with that. And this is just me keeping it completely real, and that we're humans. It's going to happen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, you're a human being, and that's what we all do all the time anyway.
Yeah, so that's right.
It's not an unusual. When you say that, I'm like, of course you do. Like and
we have our moment. We do.
That's a human reaction.
It is. It's created a lot of stress and pressure on Bess and But what's important is when we have those little moments, we'll then realign and okay, team huddle again. Let's get back to the octagon. Where to go again? Start throwing punches.
And then, I want to kind of move on to financial side. I'm a financial planner. This is I think about money a lot. I think about, the impacts of something like this happening. So, one of the reasons you called me, but, the day before you were meant to start, or the weekend before you were meant to start was, we've helped you, manage your insurance policy. And so I thought you were calling about a work issue that you were, you wanted to chat to me about. And so I yelled at you at the very beginning. But one of the reasons is, we're friends and part of your support network, but also to kind of talk about, hey, I've got a claimable event. So, I've you have insurance and working in the insurance industry, you understand that it was a claimable event. So help me understand kind of, let's just start talking about the claim. Like, what was that process like from your point of view? And because before this all happened, we were trying to update your insurance policies, and that's when I got a grumpy at you for getting, low platelet, counts and having issues. And I always, yelled at the insurance company. Thankfully I didn't yell at them because they would have blown back at me pretty hard. We had some concerns changing your insurance, but you had insurance and you had cover in place already, which was really good. So help me understand, from your point of view, what was the claim process like?
Claims process was amazing, seamless. I didn't have to do anything, really. And this is the beauty of it. Having you as my advisor and Team Skye behind me, there to help me when I needed you guys the most. And that was at claim time. New diagnosis of cancer. I had trauma, as you know, and I've got the IP. Having you there, Phil, to come in, visit me at the hospital, move as quickly as you did and get the ball rolling with the claim, and then when I got home from hospital, I remember you came over, you took me through all the stuff that you needed from me, the documents, you sat there with me, you spoke with my wife, you spoke with Bess, you answered her questions and concerns about the process, because she has no idea about this stuff. And nor do I expect her to. She hasn't worked in the industry. You were there to ease her concerns in a wolf. That time was really stressful because everything was new. And then literally I just could focus on me, my family, and what I needed to do, because I knew everything was taken care of by you and the team, and I knew you were liaising with the insurer, and you kept me updated. You told me where everything was at. You told me how much I'd be receiving in terms of a payout. It was all, the biggest thing was you took the stress of the claim away from me and my family. Yeah. And you basically said, this is what you're going to get, Jase, and this is the time frame. And in fact, you got the money to me sooner than that initial time frame. So it was amazing.
Yeah, one of the things that, the thing about that diagnosis is it was very clear cut. We could understand exactly what you were going to get. There are some other things that's like, well, how long are you going to be off work? We're not sure. But with that diagnosis, with your policy, it was really easy for us to just say, yeah, we know what you're going to get. Here's a indicative, I say indicative amount. I knew what you were going to get, but always much rather, under promise and over deliver. And the other thing about the claim that was, a lot of people think that, they've got insurance, they can just claim on their own. And it's true. You could have done it all on your own, but just the mental capacity to think about dealing with insurance is not there at all.
Can I just say, and that's a great point, at that time, obviously freshly diagnosed, no way could I have had the mental capacity to deal with it all. No chance. No way. I was not in the right frame of mind. So, and this is where I'm a strong advocate for insurance, of course, but also for having a financial advisor, because that insurance cover was in place, of course, but you guys reviewed it, and we're all different. You guys did a fact find, and you guys made sure that the levels of cover I had was appropriate and sufficient to protect not only me, but my family. Because my situation, Bill. Vess doesn't work. She does a great job with raising the kids and keeping the household in order, and I am the sole breadwinner. So even more important, we've got a mortgage like everyone, we've got bills, and you were there to make sure that the cover I had in place was appropriate.
Sometimes misunderstood and for our point of view, it's pretty common. One person in the household normally does the life admin, normally does the insurance side, and normally sets it up and organizes it. And that's really common. When we've got couples, we basically say to them, who's the driver of this? And we always keep the other person informed and try and keep them included. But we understand that just from, life gets busy. One person manages a lot of, certain life admins, and another person may do the other bits of the life admin. But one thing for you guys is, and hopefully I'm not out of step by kind of talking about Vess's concern. She hadn't set up the policy or been aware of exactly how it works, and so she had concerns about it, because she said, Jase just gave me these forms and said we need to do it. And I just said, when I got on the phone and said, look, Vess, just don't listen to anything Jase says, just call me if you've got any questions, because she had concerns because a friend of hers who doesn't work in insurance said, don't claim on trauma because it'll impact, some other covers, which is a legitimate concern, but it wasn't true, and it wasn't at all true. And so being able to just get on the phone with Vess and just kind of just talk through and just dumb it down and just go these are the policies, this is the scenarios of which may happen in the future, and this is what the process looks like. And so this policy, this trauma policy that is claimable, it's not linked to anything else. So if you claim on it, if you don't claim on it, which a friend was saying maybe don't claim on it, if you don't claim on it, you're just losing the money. So claim on it. And so it was just, good to be able to just get on the phone and just ease Vess's concerns and just say, this is how it works. If you don't ever listen to Jase, if Jase says something, just ignore it and give me a call. Not because you don't know what you're talking about, but because you're just not in the headspace.
Right, never mind. Yep.
To talk about it. So just being able to just get on the phone with Vess and just talk about it when, there's a huge impact in her life that, with the diagnosis, just as big an impact. And so, just being able to be there for Vess and just pick up the phone and say, hey, give me a call if you ever need it, and happy to chat through the policy at all. Or any of it, really.
It was hugely beneficial, hugely. And you did something that I could not have at the time. As you said, rightfully so, I was not in the right frame of mind. My world had been flipped upside down, So this is why I'm a huge advocate for not only having insurance cover, but having an advisor. Because I know what you guys do and the important role you guys as advisors play, in setting up, helping clients set up cover. Because it's not just, here's your cover and here's the premium. It's, let's sit down, let's do a discovery, let's do a fact find, because everyone's circumstances, as PT, are different, and everyone needs different levels of cover, and in terms of insurance as a whole and the importance of it, expect the unexpected in life. Because here's me, young, active, fit guy that's been diagnosed with not only cancer, but a form of cancer that is very rare. It's someone who's 42 years of age. And it's kind of come out of nowhere. So it does not discriminate. Life throws you challenges, and none of us are invincible. So don't think that I don't need insurance cover. I'm a picture of health. What a waste of money. Wrong mentality, because unfortunately it can happen. And having the insurance cover in place having something to fall back on. I'm in a very fortunate position, Phil, because you've arranged and helped with the claim, and financially, it's eased so much stress on my family and I.
Talk to me more about that, for the financial impact of it. So, obviously, one thing before we touch on that, actually, I wanted to mention is the claim was really simple. The insurance company paid out straight away. There was no hiccups, no questions, is this, true? Jase needs to go through a medical to prove it or anything. It was a doctor's report, claims form, here you go, and you got paid out. It was your policy was set up really well, and therefore the claim was really, really easy for that diagnosis. But moving on to the financial impact, talk to me about that. Obviously mentally that it has an impact, but also just from a household as a family.
Had I not had insurance in place, I'd be under a lot more stress right now, as with the family, put it that way. I'm in a very fortunate position, Phil, where, as you know, I'm off work now, and I have been for a little while. And, PBS Mutual have been great. They're supporting me. They're saying, take however long you need. But financially, because of having the insurance and receiving that payout, it's not going to change my diagnosis. But geez, it's taken one big stress away from me, because Vessa is okay, the kids are okay. I can afford to be off work and sit at home and focus on my recovery and my health, and not have to worry about the next paycheck, paying the next bill, and all that other stuff. Yeah, I mean, I'm on a new diet, for example. Now I have been for a couple of months, because I think I'm aside from tackling the cancer with chemo, I also have a naturopath, and then it's a complete change of diet. And the stuff I'm eating, Phil, I'm eating very clean. It's not cheap. It costs money, and I'm in a fortunate enough position where I can do it. With all the extra food and stuff we're having to buy, we needed to upgrade and get a new fridge. And things like that couldn't do, or if we did, it would add a lot of strain in your pocket. And having that financial security from the insurance cover payout is just makes a world of difference, especially for me, because I know that Bess and the kids are okay. I know that I can focus on what I need to. And
also, I mean, just imagine I know your employer, PBS Mutual, they've been amazing through this process, but at the end of the day, then they're not going to just give you money for free. No one's going to do that.
No one's going to do that. No.
But you just think about thinking, okay, if your income stopped, I'm not going to touch on how much money do you have saved beforehand? Because, people think, I don't need insurance. I've got, 30 grand saved in a bank account, so I'm all good. And it's well, hold on, settle down. You just said you bought a new fridge, and you just went and did that because the money was in the account to do that. You're spending a whole bunch more money on food, but more to the point is you don't need to go back to work. You got paid 6 months of income protection, and you're not going, during this chemo, I'm going to be wiped out for a few days, but maybe I could do part-time. I can go back 2 to 3 days a week during the chemo treatment because we need the money coming in the door. Well, guess what? You can just be off work and mentally just shut down, not look at your emails, and just go, I just need to focus on yourself. And that's the most important thing, because the money's in the bank. If things progress for a really long time, you've still got an ongoing income protection to ease the burden. But knowing that, financially, you're not scrambling. Vess isn't thinking about, okay, I need to pick up some work now. You guys are in a position where you can just focus on your recovery, and it's actually going to be the best thing for your recovery.
Yes, you've summed it up beautiful. Spot on. Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself, BT. It's taken away, again, so much stress. Yes, we had some savings before the insurance payout, but how long were they going to last? Without insurance cover, they weren't going to last very long, because let's be honest, it's not just, the stuff that I need for treatment and food, as we've mentioned. The bills aren't going to stop coming in, Phil, are they? The mortgage repayments aren't going to stop coming in, are they? And I'm super blessed that we are in this position where I can be at home. As you said, I can switch off mentally and focus on getting myself right and getting through the biggest fight of my life. So thank goodness I had insurance cover, honestly. and thank goodness for having the advisor behind me to support me and ensure that I had the right cover in place. That's just as important as well. So my message is to people, don't go out and think you can get insurance on your own and work it out. Please get a financial advisor. It is so worth it in the long run. It really is. Because they work out how much cover you need based on your individual circumstance.
We've talked about this offline many times, and your story and the way you're kind of tackling it is really inspiring. And as I've said many times, looking forward to when the claim was paid, you're like, oh, Phil, like, do we pay you for the claim? Like, we're gonna hook you up. And I was like, no, mate, like, this is our job. This is what we do, and this is the promise that the insurance company makes, and this is the promise that we make. And I said, you can pay me. You can pay me by buying me a beer in 3 years' time when you're on the other side. And so I'm going to cash in that beer. Don't you worry about that. But the way you've dealt with it and your mentality has been really inspiring and really kind of impressive to look, just to look and be a part of that journey with you. And I know you're gonna, you got 3 more rounds of chemo. You're gonna go through scans and get an update from there. As part of what we're doing at Skye, actually, I'll just give what we're doing a plug is we're doing a steps challenge because we want to kind of, also raise awareness towards pancreatic cancer, and we're raising money. So I've got to remember the numbers. Every 1,000 steps, everyone in our team Skye does, we're going to donate 10 cents. So, week 1, we donated I think $114, and we're only ramping up from here. So we're doing it for 6 weeks. And we've reached out to insurance partners of ours to say, hey, put some money towards it. And, and we've had some donations towards that. And so, we've talked about this many times, and we will again. Been really inspired by your journey and wishing you all the best. But before we finish, is there anything else that you want to kind of, touch on?
No, look, I just want to say thank you to you again for the opportunity for the interview today. I think my plans are bigger. Today is the start of an exciting journey for me. I plan on continuing to tell my story, raise awareness, and do more of this. So that's watch this space. What I'm going to say there. But I just want to say thank you to you and Team Skye for the challenge that you guys are doing to raise funds for pancreatic cancer. That means the world. Also, and anyone out there that's listening or going to be watching this, you are going through your own challenges, your own battles. Don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to have a chat and provide more insight into what I'm going through and how I'm dealing with it. And if that might help somebody out there, then that makes me a winner.
Amazing. Thanks, Jase. Appreciate your constant generosity.
No worries at all. Thanks for having me on, buddy.